Hey, what's going on everybody? So you're starting your very first Amazon business, but you don't want to make any rookie mistakes that could lead to big problems down the road or even lose you a bunch of money. So in this video, we're going to be talking about the most common mistakes that I've personally made and I've seen other sellers make when starting their very first Amazon product. Fulfillment by Amazon, or Amazon FBA, is one of the easiest ways to start making money online this year. With more and more people spending time at home, Amazon sales have been hitting record highs. But at the same time, more and more sellers are entering the Amazon marketplace every single day. So it's more important now than ever to be aware of the common obstacles and pitfalls that you might run into in the future. Just a quick background on myself, my name's Michael and I was in your shoes just last year. I really wanted to start my very first Amazon business, but I had no idea where to start. I relied a bunch on online videos and gurus, and I ended up wasting a lot of time and money in the process. So it's my goal with this channel to simplify all the most need-to-know, up-to-date tips and tactics that actually worked for me this year, so that you can have the confidence to take massive action and achieve financial freedom through your first online business. So let's jump right into the first mistake. Mistake number one is getting stuck in analysis paralysis. Now, starting your first business is really daunting, and every single decision you need to make requires a lot of thought and a lot of confidence. And getting stuck in analysis paralysis is really when you start second guessing every decision that you need to make and dragging your feet, wasting a lot of time. For me personally, when I was choosing my very first Amazon product, I was getting in a loop of thinking, is this maybe not gonna work? Am I going crazy? And that's when I came to the realization that the longer that I spent making these smaller decisions, the longer I would delay the launch of my very first product. So my favorite way to overcome analysis paralysis is to create a roadmap and stick to it. When you're just starting out as a new entrepreneur, no one is holding you accountable but yourself. So getting in the habit of setting clear goals and tracking your progress against those goals is one of the best habits that you can start working on as a new entrepreneur. An easy way to get started with road mapping is breaking down your big objectives into weekly tasks. Spend about 30 minutes per week writing down all of the objectives that you have for that week, and then at the end of each week, go back to that list and see what you've actually accomplished. And be honest with yourself here. The more you get in the habit of setting clear, time-constrained deadlines, the faster and more consistent your progress will be. I know this probably sounds like a lot of work now, but trust me, the hard work that you put in at the beginning to create a really good structure and workflow will pay off in the long run. And at the end of the day, moving forward and making decisions always beats dragging your feet over analyzing, because no matter what, you're gonna run into something that you didn't expect. So be able to, embrace that uncertainty and just move forward. Mistake number two is not negotiating with your supplier. So let's say you have a great product idea and now it's time to find a manufacturer that can create the product for you. Finding and working with suppliers that you can communicate with and trust is really important, especially when you're working with people overseas. When doing your search for suppliers, always make sure to cast a really wide net and reach out to as many people as possible. It's a really bad mistake to accept the very first offer that you receive. Always make sure that you have others to choose from and others to compare it against to understand how good of a deal you're actually getting. Once you have a few offers on the table, this will help you compare what's a cheaper product on the spectrum, what's a more expensive product. And once you've landed on a couple suppliers that you want to go with, always remember to negotiate on price. Suppliers will almost always be flexible on price, especially if you ask the right way. One of my favorite negotiating tactics with suppliers is to pit them against one another based off of their offers. By negotiating after you have other offers on the table, you communicate to the supplier that you're a more serious buyer and that you have other options to choose from. Don't forget that they want your business as much as you want theirs. So when choosing your first supplier, always make sure you're doing the right diligence and comparing as many offers as you possibly can. Mistake number three is not calculating your profits. Let's just say that seller A started selling on Amazon this month and he made $10,000 in revenue. That's awesome, right? But not so fast. Making a product decision strictly based off of revenue performance is a mistake that I see new sellers making all the time. When running a business, you need to factor in all the expenses and costs that come along with running that business. In Amazon, that ends up being things like the cost of your inventory, Amazon seller fees, and advertising fees, among others. So to better understand how your business is actually performing, you need to calculate the profits. And to calculate profits, you have to take your total revenue minus any of the fees or expenses required to sell those products. So going back to our example, let's just say that seller A sold $10,000 in revenue, but he spent $8,000 in product cost, $2,000 on Amazon seller fees, and $1,000 on advertising. So at the end of the month, seller A is actually losing $1,000 per month. Does that sound like such a great business? Now let's just say that seller B launched her first Amazon product this month as well, and she generated $6,000 in total sales. For seller B's expenses, let's just say that she spent $2,000 on the products, $1,000 on Amazon seller fees, and $1,000 on advertising. So at the end of each month, seller B is actually generating a profit of $2,000 per month. And with that $2,000 at the end of the month, seller B can improve her product, launch new products, or even take that money home for herself. But I do want to stress that if you want to avoid needing to put more of your own money into the business in the future or take out business loans, it's best to get in the habit of reinvesting your profits back in the business to grow the business. A really quick bonus tip, a good retail profit margin is around 25 to 35%. And to calculate the profit margin, you want to take your profit divided by that period's total sales. That percentage will give you the profit margin. And this is just a really easy and quick way to see the health of your business. Mistake number 4 is not advertising enough. Let's just say you launched your product, the photos are great, the listing is good, and you're in a niche that gets high search volume every month, but you're not getting any sales. What's going on? Selling on Amazon is all about ranking. When you type in a search query on Amazon, you're returned a list of products that are ranked in order based mostly off of how many units that product sells per day. As a new seller, it's really hard to organically compete with some of these really established sellers. So how do you level the playing field? You level the playing field through targeted keyword advertising, or Amazon's pay-per-click advertising. Pay-per-click ads on Amazon, or Amazon's PPC program, allows you to boost your listing to the top of the search results alongside those big competitors for a fee. And I know what you're thinking, there's a fee. Yeah, I know a lot of new sellers don't really feel comfortable spending money on advertising because they don't want to risk having an unprofitable business. But did you know that 80% of all clicks on Amazon happen on page 1 of the search results? And that only 30% of all Amazon customers even go to page 2? The chances of you launching a brand new product and having people organically discover your product is really low. So it's my recommendation to you to set aside some money for an ad campaign, especially at launch. By running a consistent ad campaign on Amazon, you can ensure that your product is being put in front of new customers on a consistent basis. As you receive more impressions on your product, the number of sales that you're generating should increase over time. And as your sales consistently increase, this tells Amazon that your product is worthy of increasing in the rankings and being put on a higher page. The ultimate goal for your first advertising campaign should be to boost your product and establish yourself as a product on page 1 or page 2 ideally. Now, depending on your niche's competitiveness, you might need to set aside more money to establish yourself in a niche that's a little bit more competitive. I'm going to be sharing the biggest mistake that I personally made in just 1 second, but if you're finding value in this video, please hit the like button below. It lets me know what types of videos to make in the future. Mistake number 5 is not keeping track of your inventory. When you launch your very first product, you've put in a ton of work and you deserve a pat on the back. So taking some time off to celebrate and enjoy is well worth it. But you still need to keep track of your performance, and this is where I honestly screwed up. Amazon is one of the most passive ways to make money online, but at the same time, don't make the same mistake that I did and step away for too long. Running out of inventory is one of the most deadly mistakes that a new seller could make, and it could lead to irreversible damage to your Amazon ranking. My recommendation is on a weekly basis, take your total number of units in inventory and divide that by the number of sales that you've generated that week. That way, you can see roughly how many weeks of inventory you have left. By communicating with your supplier, you should be able to get a timeline for how long it takes to actually produce the products and how long it takes to actually get to the Amazon warehouse. With those data points, you could back solve how far in advance you'll need to order more inventory. Now, I know this is a ton of information and it feels like there's a million things to keep track of, but I just wanted to let you know that I know how difficult it is and how daunting it is to start your very first business. Don't be afraid to move forward, make mistakes, and learn from them, because at the end of the day, you're taking action and you're better today than you were yesterday. Remember that every step that you take will get you closer and closer to your goals, and with consistent action, you can achieve financial freedom. Please leave a comment below. What were some of the big obstacles that you personally faced when operating your first Amazon business? I'd love to hear them. And if you found this video helpful, please hit the subscribe button down below for more videos like this one. See you guys.